So the Fever players have really been struggling in Unrivaled. I mean that. They've really, really, really been struggling. And I don't know if this is a Unrivaled issue or it's like a, sorry, not even an Unrivaled issue, like not league-wise, but like how the game's played, or if it's a player issue. So obviously the two players are Lexie Hull and Aliyah Boston that are currently playing in Unrivaled. Nalissa Smith's obviously gone, and then Katie Lou Samuelson no longer plays for the Indiana Fever. So I'm looking at yesterday's game, and the better of the two has been Lexie Hull. Lexie Hull, I thought, was fine yesterday. Defensively, she's still fine. She's missing a lot of gimmies. And I think that's one of the things where it's like, if you look at her 3-point percentage, like Lexie Hull on the year for Unrivaled, after she did go made two for her first three, since then she is 3 for 11, 12, 16, 18. She's 3 for 18 since like the first couple of games. Since she started getting proper minutes, she is 3 for 18 from 3. That's not good. And a lot of people are talking about Lexie Hull as some sniper. Lexie Hull was shooting like 21% for her career before the Olympic break. Lexie Hull, if you guys don't understand, she went from being the worst shooter of volume in the league to leading the league in 3-point percentage. That's how well she shot. She just got nuclear hot. She got nuclear hot post-Olympic break. And I think it gave people like almost a misunderstanding of Lexie Hull as a player. She is a hustle player. She is a defender, and she can shoot sometimes. But that's really it. Like, if you look at her field goals, 1 for 7, 3 for 10, 3 for 6, 2 for 7, 2 for 5, 1 for 7. She had that insane game, 8 for 11, but still, like, she's shooting a horrific percentage. Her defense has been okay, though, and that's all that's needed. She's coming off the bench next year. But the player that has really been probably the most disappointing is the fact that the lowest scorer in the entire... They're the two lowest scorers in Unrivaled. They're literally the two lowest scorers in the entire league. But Aliyah Boston is the lowest scorer in Unrivaled. And a lot of people, when they're talking about Aliyah Boston, I'm hearing a lot of people thinking that Aliyah Boston is going to have some breakout year. Like I said yesterday, that Aliyah Boston is probably, I'm predicting her points to drop to around 8 points per game. And people are like, no, she's going to average like close to 20. And I'm like, there's only one basketball. I genuinely had people in my video yesterday argue that the Indiana Fever's team, that Caitlin Clark would push her average up to 25 points per game. Aliyah Boston would push her average to 18 points per game. Kelsey Mitchell will average 21 points per game. That Natasha Howard will average more than last year at 18 to 20 points per game. And that DeWanna Bonner would still average like 12, 13 points per game. And then also off the bench, Sophie Cunningham would average double digits. They were calling out this team to average like 130 points per game. I'm like, someone's going to have to take a hit to their offense. And the one scary thing with Unrivaled, with Aliyah Boston, yes, obviously her ability to defend in space, like she's not playing that many minutes because, again, she's not great at scoring in space. She can't score on post-ups. She has all the space in the world to go one-on-one with post-ups, and she can't score on anybody. Like, it's concerning how bad Aliyah Boston is with her back to the basket. Like, it's actually concerning. Like, I'm not concerned for the WNBA season because this is not a league that Aliyah Boston is going to excel in. We knew that coming into the season. But it's actually concerning how bad she is at scoring. Like, I would be really worried with that, and like, I would not give Aliyah Boston post touches. Aliyah Boston, I would do how she played when they played Clark ball instead of sides ball, and they looked good. Aliyah Boston coming out the short roll, making decisions, being a passer. Because Aliyah Boston's IQ is her biggest asset. But it's actually really concerning how bad she is with her back to the basket. Like, she came in, she was meant to be a post scorer. They wanted post touches instead of Caitlin Clark. And yes, she's very good at hitting cutters. She's very good at passing out of the post. But like, she's a passer. And not only that, like, she's not that good. She's not much of a defender either. And she is not 6'5". I'm sorry. Like, she is about 6'3", if even 6'3". Like people are like, oh, DeWanna Bonner. They were both wearing like flat shoes. DeWanna Bonner is at least an inch taller than her. At least. And then like Natasha Howard is probably in around the same height as her. So like Aliyah Boston, look, I think she's going to be she's a great player. But her points are not going she's not going to average 15 a game. Like she's just not her post scoring, which she seemed to excel at as a rookie, is just gone. It's just gone. Like the field goal percentage she shot as a rookie, that player does not exist. Not saying there's not a better player in there, but for people expecting Aliyah Boston to take that jump into like superstardom at the WNBA level, I think she's going to be the one to have to take a backseat. I don't think Kelsey Mitchell's taking a backseat. I don't think Caitlin Clark's taking a backseat. I think Aliyah Boston is going to have to become that passer. She could. Like Aliyah Boston, by the way, could average 8-7-5 or 8-9-5. That's a hell of a season. That could be an all-star. Like she does all the little things well. She's super high IQ. But like it is concerning. I would be extremely concerned about the seemingly like vanishing of Aliyah Boston's post game. Like, and for the Fever, it is a worry because the two worst scorers in Unrivaled have been these two. At least Lexie Hull's been good on defense, whereas Aliyah Boston's been borderline unplayable. When it matters for the vinyl, she has become unplayable. And you might be saying, oh, the league doesn't suit her. Even when the game slows down, she's been unplayable. Like, she's really got to... Like, I'm hoping that not necessarily this is a slump, that this is, okay, cool, let her just work on her face-up game. Because she's been bullied by Angel Reese. She's been cooked by basically every big. And that was the problem last year. Like, I do want to make this a point. Other than Tina Charles, and yes, she was a great connective piece at times. Other than Tina Charles, what other center did Aliyah Boston dominate last year? Like, she couldn't guard Aja. They couldn't put her guarding Aja. She couldn't dominate Bree Jones. She did nothing in the playoffs. She couldn't, Tiara McCown cooked her on the other end. She couldn't guard the big. She couldn't, maybe Brittany Griner. But, like, that's the thing where we probably have to, I think we're getting close to having to look at Aliyah Boston as a different type of player. And by the way, that's not an all-star. I'm not saying Aliyah Boston's not a guaranteed starter. People are like, oh, Aliyah Boston's spot is there for the taking. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Aliyah Boston's IQ, her passing, everything, her ability, like how good she can be running an offense through, especially with Stephanie White, how good she can pass from the high post, her vision, her IQ, everything is good. But like the post-up game seems to have vanished. And then for Lexie Hull, if her three ball is like it was for the entirety of her three ball in Unrivaled, people are like, oh, she's going through a slump. This is how she shot for her first 2.5 seasons in the WNBA. She was almost out of the league at the end of this year. Like, if she didn't pick it up, she would have been one of the players cut going into this season. She would not have had that 4-year option picked up. But, like, still, it is a very much struggle for the Fever girls in Unrivaled. And the positive thing, especially for Aliyah Boston, is I don't think she's staying in shape. She's playing. And with Lexie Hull, at least her defense has been good, but they're really, really struggling.